Hello. So I am going to talk through a game that I played recently. This was in L Jazz's Madness League, and it's essentially right now just a turn-based league where you play against a couple other people in several different games. And the settings are base map with no extra scoring and with the fan factions only. It's a turn-based league, um, and one of the cool parts about it is that you get to play against people who are close to your level and playing fan factions. Um, but my purpose in creating this video was just to talk through um, I spoilers. I wind up winning this game. It's just to kind of take a look at how Children of the Worm are a strong faction who can win, um, even if you don't make all the right decisions all the time. It requires some luck, of course. So I'm going to cover some of those things that I think might make them like a little lucky currently, um, and some of the things that just make them strong in general. So let's begin. So I'm not going to talk through my faction choices here. We'll just start with like the actual setup. So, all right. So the bid. Um, I'm looking at the setup, and if we look at the track here, it starts out with dwellings in round one, into spades in round two. There's two big buildings events in three and five, a round four towns event, and late trading posts. The faction that I put in was engineers, and you can kind of see why. It's like look at all like the scoring on the passes here. The spade is in, the worker power is in. This is kind of like a dream for engineers. They don't want the priest, they don't want the four coins and the cult step, etc. They would like temp ship, I suppose, but like this otherwise is extremely strong for engineers. Um, they love building in this order as well. They're one of the best factions to get two towns in round four. However, um, architects are in the game, so architects make life a lot more awkward for engineers for a variety of reasons. And one of those reasons is that they're a color neighbor, obviously, so they're going to make like getting towns with cheap digs harder because they're gonna take away reds. Um, Architects, on the other hand, as people might know, are pretty good at opening with dwelling rushes. They're able to save on spades by using bridges and priests. So while there's no priest pass tile here, you could see a world where you get both the priest and the bridge action in round one, and then you're able to like expand around all this stuff over here. Um, Architects are also able to take the double dig if they get a worker, like if they get a three power tile, because they start with nine power in that third bull. Um, so both these factions are pretty good. However, I think that they fight each other in a pretty unique way. Like engineers prefer to start on f6 and then they get e9, and then sure they probably lose out on a town here. However, they normally expect to be able to get this gray hex up here at least, and architects are going to be annoying about that because whether they start here or here, they can take away this gray hex with a single bridge or just digging this hex directly. Um, so that makes life a little more awkward for engineers. You might lose g6, so you might not get a town on your starting spot in the east. You can start on c5, which is, I was thinking, makes life awkward for architects because architects would love to start d6 and bridge to c5 and then get to d7, come up here, build a12. But you could lose c5 and d7 if engineers start on c5. So I think that there's a lot to be concerned about for architects and engineers in terms of just generally playing like kind of a strong, bigger game. Um, just checking my equipment really quickly. Okay, so then we look at prospectors. I really like prospectors here because they have the round one dwellings event is very good for prospectors, right? Because they have natural inbuilt spades, so they can build three dwellings in round one pretty easily, um, and they can usually open like TP three dwellings or something like that, just by using coins to dig. So a dwelling event in round one is great for them. The six coins pass tile is in the game, and with these three guys all in the game, you would normally expect to get the six coins pass tile coming to you in seat one, which is really nice. The coins action is also usually not that contested in round one. Round 2, you get spades. It's a spade scoring round. You're not going to take any spade actions, but you start with 3 steps on Earth. So getting these 3 extra coins early is also really nice. I think prospectors are also likely to be able to hit this event in round 4. So I think that prospectors are probably a little better than architects or engineers here because they don't have to fight quite as hard. Like sometimes brown factions have a hard time because like if they start e6 f5, which is what I anticipate them doing, like they have a hard time using the double dig because black might be on g5 e5 and take one of those hexes away from them. Our prospectors don't need to take a double dig action to get 2 hexes. They can just dig and build using their coins. So that makes them very strong, and it makes them more resilient to this color matchup. Prospectors also will start probably in like one of the most favorable leech positions. We anticipate our neighbors starting all around e6 here, and we anticipate neighbors starting around f5 as well. Okay, cool. So that's why prospectors are good. Now, Children of the Wyrm. Why do I like Children of the Wyrm here? First of all, I think that they're in a pretty favorable color matchup. They're not in like the absolute best position for Leech. However, they only have 1 color neighbor, and usually black and brown can get along pretty well that we see on base map. Another issue is that, or another benefit is that they have lots of opportunities for towns. Black can sometimes struggle to both connect and get 3 towns. However, Children of the Wyrm shouldn't have that issue on base map. I think that you're likely to be able to get g6 away from engineers in this game, so you can get a town through these hexes over here in the east. Now, another issue when brown is in the game is sometimes you have to double dig this d3 hex and get a town without a lot of good neighbors here in the west. However, Children of the Wyrm have their ability to drop their stronghold ability, which lets them drop power tokens along the river, and you can make a town like through here, or even a town that connects like these hexes down here. So similar to Mermaids, but kind of stretched out, Children of the Wyrm have more town opportunities than other factions do. And looking at the, like I said, black often struggles to connect. However, Children of the Wyrm can accelerate their shipping using the power tokens. Alternatively, they can also connect using power tokens in an unusual way. So even if they would need more than 3 shipping, if they can drop power tokens all along the track that they would normally ship along, then they can ship, like they can connect on like 4 or even 6 shipping using power tokens instead. Since they're an economic faction, I think it's worth it to try to connect usually for Children of the Wyrm. The mid to late strongholds are good. Like round 3 stronghold I think is good. You can get some power back. You can start doing your shenanigans to connect for towns, especially leading into this. The round 2 digs event is good. Children of the Wyrm are one of the better factions at accessing the double dig. And while I think that engineers or architects are likely to get it in round 1, you should be able to get it in round 2 by passing quickly. You have the spade here. And one of the things that black factions really like to dig, but Darklings and Alchemists are good at digging. Children of the Wyrm don't have inherent digging. They rely on those power spades and this bonus spade. So that's all good news for us if we want to play Children of the Wyrm. And that is why, yeah, and finally, like it's like a good economic track. I think that Children of the Wyrm should usually have very good economy. So for all those reasons, I actually bid Children of the Wyrm down to 26, put prospectors at 30, and chose architects and engineers at different rates, like higher rates. I think I had engineers at 38 and architects at 40. We'll see it continue. Okay, so we did a fast auction. We secretly bid, and if we take a look, people greatly disagreed on what the best factions were, and we're actually getting Children of the Wyrm at 40. So first of all, I think that, we did win this game. However, it is possible that we just won the game in auction, and it's not really the rest of our decisions. So one of the reasons Children of the Wyrm are strong, people might underestimate them. Okay, so we've got our setup here. I think that people have placed as expected, except that engineers placed f6 instead of c5. I think that this makes life a little easier for architects, because architects now do get c5. And I think that Engineers, I think that I was going to start c5 because I feel like giving this hex up is just kind of annoying. And architects don't really want e9 that badly. Maybe they double dig this single hex like by starting d7, but without temp ship in the game, I think that you have a chance at being able to dig down through here. Or even you get d6 before architects if architects are really bold and start d7. So I'm not crazy about this starting spot for engineers. I think that this is a break for architects that I didn't bid for. So that's like initial thoughts. Now, if we look at the past tiles, I think engineers might have made a second mistake. Now, granted, they wind up getting a good first round out of this because they get all that leech, so maybe I'm wrong. However, engineers started on this 6 coins tile, which meant that prospectors who were hoping for this wound up starting on the TP tile instead. Now, prospectors can use that worker, and the extra 2 points or 3 points, but I think they really just wanted coins so that they could build dwellings in the dwelling round. So I think that that's another thing that kind of worked out in my favor here. That like our opponent kind of hurt themselves and hurt prospectors as well, because I think that this 2 workers pass tile for engineers is clearly superior to 6 coins this early in the game. But that's just me. You know, B-Ball Race is obviously a very strong player. This is a move that kind of denies prospectors, and if you look at the final standings, it's possible that like this type of opening, which I wasn't even paying attention to because it's a turn-based game, was actually part of the reason why that happened. The other thing that engineers passed up, other than the 2 workers, is they also passed up a power tile. So engineers might have just figured that they were getting double dig if they thought that prospectors, if you look at these starting spots, they don't want double dig, right? They don't have anywhere that they can double dig on because they don't have shipping. And if they do use a double dig, then they'll burn down all their power, and then they won't be able to take a priest or a bridge to get their other dwelling rush stuff going. So engineers might be thinking, you know what, I'm upgrading in front of Children of the Wyrm. I'm likely to get the double spade. Unfortunately, they upgrade next to me. So here's, you know, at the beginning of this, my plan was to go for like a temple 3 dwellings or something, or temple 2 dwellings. Like build a single dwelling off my spade, pass, get the double spade in the spade round, all is good. Maybe we even get this big building tile or something. At this point, and this is one of the reasons why I think that Children of the Wyrm are underestimated or people aren't playing against them correctly, I don't think that engineers were aware that this actually meant that I could double spade, right? Because Children of the Wyrm can burn down their power and double spade here. Now the question is that actually worth it? Like scoring track wise, I get more points for digging here. I think that I really wanted a temple because like these cult events are quite good. So getting a temple going is good. I can save my power and score points for spades next round, and then I'll have priest production. So the other question is, if we do double spade, maybe we still want to open with a temple. Should we maybe take g4? This would accelerate our ability to connect. If we manage to get like h5, h4, right? Like we have shipping tempo against prospectors here. We probably kill a prospector's town. f3 is probably just worse than g4. But yeah, like we definitely have good opportunities by taking g4. I was originally thinking that I was going to be digging this g6 hex with Children of the Wyrm with the regular spade. So the alternative is that I can take a double spade and take 2 hexes, right? Like that's a little better, but then like you can't help feeling that your spade is wasted in that case. But like basically you can build 2 dwellings using the spade or not using the spade and just make a temple still, even though you have access to the double spade. So for the moment, like I can defer that decision. I was thinking that I would want Fire 1 or Earth 2, but we'll begin by just taking the double spade. The double spade in round 1 is just very strong, and Children of the Wyrm really want spades. So let's just see what happens. I do take these 2 hexes. I think that makes sense. G6 is good because this is partially connection. Also, it gets me like to this natural black faster off of cheap digs. So I wanted that. Either way, like my dig was going to go here. So you are going to see that basically what I was saying was that I wasn't 100% committed to building this dwelling. I had the spade in hand, but I could still just open with a temple and then take this hex, right? Like, or just turn this hex black, and then next round I can still build on it. In the end, I decide, you know what? There's a lot of leech to be had. I think that engineers are going to try to build E9 or something, and I think that architects are going to try to build D7 this round. So I think that it's worth my time to come around the bend over here. So that's what I wind up doing. Which means that I don't open with a temple. I just build my dwellings during the dwelling round, which score lots of points. Again, like, I don't know that these were ideal decisions, but I think that they all wound up, like, just being really powerful overall. And indeed, engineers, by the way, got enough leech that they were able to take a single spade after opening double temple. So this is an argument that maybe the 6 coins was pretty good. I'm just mentioning here that I'm about to upgrade E10 to a TP, and I think that this is kind of a no-brainer move, because Children of the Wyrm get free 2-for-1 leeches. Like, if someone builds and you're going to gain 2 power off of it, you get that for free, only 1 instead of paying a victory point. So because of that, and because my economy leans heavily worker, I'm happy to build this TP right now. And indeed, I am going to get some free leech off of architects for this. Okay, I'm about to pass here, and the 6 coins are available, and this is one of the most coveted pass tiles when you pass into round 2. Instead, I take the TP tile, and I think that this can pretty easily be considered wrong. So in order to take advantage of TP scoring, I would probably want to build another TP, and those aren't that good because they forego workers. Essentially, what happens here is I kind of see a town starting to form over here in the east. Like, I know that the town event is later, but I kind of just see myself like making a town here, and maybe I get some points off this TP tile, and the TP tile has a worker on it, and maybe I can get my coin production going up throughout the game. I just figured, and yeah, like basically I have enough coins with 6 coins here to get through this coming round. So I was thinking maybe I just have a short round and then figure out my coin situation after that, with like TPs up. So I do pass for the TP tile. Again, like this could be definitely considered an inaccuracy. Like maybe I'm not supposed to like go for TPs next round, especially when you're about to see what happens, which is engineers begin this round by advancing their shipping instead of taking a double spade. Now that makes sense because they don't have 2 spots to double spade. They could turn this guy green, this D5 hex, but they don't. So this is just part of my good fortune, and I think that this also speaks to maybe engineers having misplayed a little bit early on. But yeah, like I say here, engineers not having a double dig is kind of a stroke of luck for us. We're being handed the double dig in a dig round in round 2, when it's like digs are still valuable, like really early in the game. So I also mentioned that our economy might start to become unbalanced. I didn't take the 7 coins tile, which kind of crazy that no one went for the 7 coins, but I guess architects wanted spades, whatever. It's a spade round. But yeah, like this is all pretty surprising to me that I'm being handed this. And again, like this is just, I don't know if engineers missed that I could double dig again, but it's more likely that they just had no place to actually use their double dig. So this is a huge good break for me again, is kind of like the bottom line. Like I'm just getting crazy lucky here. I should also mention that like I should have taken H7 because this hex engineers will build around later. Like engineers will certainly build H6, so I might as well just be on this hex to get more leech out of it. That's a mistake. It happens. Oh well. This is a whoa moment for me. My comment just says whoa because that's a pretty aggressive dig by prospectors. It uses up all their resources, all their coins, which is good. And like the coins action goes after that. So maybe FireX wanted to burn some power to get to a good point, but he winds up losing it. All right, so I town early. It just feels good to like accelerate your econ early with a town. So like I say here, I'm kind of tempted to take the priest. But there are 2 good cults right now, right? there's earth and air. The fire cult reward is late, but I can't get a 3 spot in either of these cults. Okay, fine. So the priest town is out. And also, like, the priest town is just not that much economy, right? I could take a ship town as well. The ship town is also good, obviously, but I am 2 shipping away from all my blacks. So I say, okay, I'm probably not going for that, and I'm probably not going to get priest production this round either. So in that case, like, the last best kind of early town is just the 2 key town. And partially this is me thinking, like, okay, maybe I'll do well in the cults. I don't have any priest production. I don't have priests on the 3 spots, but engineers, like, if we look at our competition, prospectors have 0 priest production right now. Architects might want to use their priests for bridges, and engineers only have 1 priest production, and they need shipping. So let's just take the 2 key town. And the 2 key town, by the way, all those rewards that I was saying that the priest might give me, the 2 key town gives me those, and, like, right away. It's a ton of scoring, it's a ton of economy, it's a broken town, and I think that the game might be better without it. But my game is certainly better with it. So at this point, I don't have a note on this, but architects taking C3 is actually kind of interesting because now they're going to get through here. I mentioned that this is kind of a surprising workers action from prospectors because it might stop them from getting coins later. But I think that because, like, look at their, like, they have no coins. It's surprising that to take workers, in my opinion. But I think that FireX knows what he's doing because we're about to see what happens next round, which is pretty good. Like, he figures out his economy just fine. So at this point, I vaguely considered making another TP because I'm on the TP tile. But this thing is open and it's a stronghold sanctuary round. So I definitely want to get onto it. And I'm thinking that my coming round, I'm probably going to go temple so I can get some priest production and stronghold. So I can start, like, leaving my tokens around. And basically, I have delayed priest production, but this way I can use my stronghold in lieu of shipping. So I go for this tile. It's just too good. I have mountains of economy and a reasonable points lead as well. I have the 2 key towns, so no one should soar past me on the cults. Okay, so like I say, we want this temple to get priest production. Now, at this point, I am considering taking economy with Fire 1 or scoring with Earth 1 or Water 1. Earth 2 no longer makes sense because I have so many dwellings on the board and because the best Earth Cult event already disappeared. There is a Spade later, but I could just get that with Earth 1 or the Priest instead. I also declined to take Air 2, even though it comes with a worker, because I'm about to build my Stronghold, so I will get all my power tokens back, but I'm going to start leaving my power tokens on the board. So I won't have that many power tokens to play with late in the game. The Stronghold also comes with 4 power income, so Air 2 is kind of out of the question. So that leaves Fire 1, Earth 1, or Water 1. In the end, I say that there's a lot of scoring here with a town event, as well as more big buildings to build, which I want to, and this TP event. There's lots of scoring on the track, like on the pass tiles, like all 4 are in. And I have lots of workers, so I just take Fire 1, and I just kind of trust that I'm going to be able to get some scoring later. Also, if you look around, like the scoring favors are all here still, so I just don't feel that much pressure in the end. So I do just go for Fire 1 here. I'm about to build my Stronghold as well. Like, that's probably not that surprising that I do. Like, it's just... but to be clear, like, my Stronghold, I feel, is part of my strategy for getting a town in round 4, so I can get up through here. And this is just a comment that, like, I'm getting some nice leech from FireX upgrading the center here. I get some nice leech from here as well, and, like, I was thinking that I was out of coins this round, but it looks like I'm not. I'm going to come over here and start building here. Yep, very, very nicely. This leech is working out for me. Get some even more here. By the way, this is like a case where, like, clearly I probably should have built H7 instead of E11. This would have been more leech there, but oh well. We're also going to see engineers build these late in the game, so Okay, so boom, I built a sanctuary. What's that? So I don't think that there's a huge rush on water one yet. Again, like one of the water ones is gone, but the other two are still remaining. So why do I take water one now when I maybe could like build more econ or something? I think that it's fairly clear that water one is the right call here because basically like I probably don't want to temple water one when there's another big building event coming later. And I do want water one this game because I think that there's going to be scoring to come off of it later. I'm also on the big building tile now, so I might as well just, instead of gambling and waiting here, why don't I just take it now? I have economy with fire one as well. And just as a side note, I mentioned this in round one, but this here, like this is not really related to my decision for a sanctuary, but I really want this B4 hex for my town. I know that I can get it with a natural black instead, but I want to bust through here so I can connect. Otherwise, I'm in trouble if I, like, I'm playing kind of an economic game, right? I really want to connect. I'm playing really wide, so that's good. Back to the water one decision. Basically, there will be a rush on water one by the time round 5 comes around. And I also want to build TPs next round because it's a town round. And I'm on the big building tile, so basically those are my things. And yeah, like basically I could still connect through C4 if I had to, but this is so much worse. It's not as nice of a town because like you can have a single power token here and then that connects you to these hexes here, but not to C4, so you need an extra hex down here to make that part of your town. It's just worse. I really want B4, and I think that architects should want it as well to secure this hex, but I'm about to get lucky and that's not going to happen. So I do take water one. At this point in the game, water one is more points than earth one, but if I had sanctuaried earlier, trusting that I had the econ to build B3 anyway, then earth one was like, you know, not a lot worse, and earth one also would have got me this cult spade. So it is possible that like I'm about to make some missteps here. Anyway, I do make a note here that B4 is crucial to our connection, and that, so this is kind of why I pass onto the spade instead of the TP tile. Basically, the TP tile might be like 2 or 4 points, right? I say 3 here. This should be 4. But I pass on to the spade instead because now that I have water one, I really want the economy so that I can secure this and just guarantee my connection. Like, I don't need overall economy. I need economy like right now to get this B4 hex. So I'm just going to secure that, and then I should have plenty of opportunities to pass on to stuff later for scoring. Water one actually does disappear this round, which is pretty interesting. That was not obvious that that would happen necessarily. Okay, so good news for me. Architects wind up taking the coins instead of bridging to B4. That's really nice. I take this opportunity to become kind of arrogant and stupid. Like I mentioned here, this is kind of a crazy greedy move by sending this priest. I think that I had something in mind about power cycling and not burning my power tokens. But I probably should have just gotten to B4 this round, just by dropping 2 power tokens. But I also wanted to like get that cult spade, you know, so I wasn't sure like how I was going to get to this step. I got 2 power from it, but it does turn out that I'm lucky enough to get this B4 hex. So yeah, at this point, maybe I should feel a little sad about losing Earth 1 because Eirik does wind up taking Earth 1 here. Earth 1 does mean that I could have gotten to step 4 without committing my priest, and then maybe I could have sent the priest to the water 3 spot. Now I have the 2 key town, right? So that could have been better. But yeah, like Earth 1 could have been just as many points as Water 1 essentially. So maybe I like with it, I send priest to water and I get a step here, you know. But this is all fairly small fry. It's just kind of like one of my points here is that like I have lots of possible missteps, but like the breaks that I got early in the game because people didn't understand Children of the Wyrm, plus like my current like favorable situation has really helped me out. So we're about to see architects take a cult town, and you know my cult position, despite the 2 key town, doesn't look that great. However, I am still going to take an 8-pointer. Because you know what, like the 8-pointers are just good. We committed 1 town to cults. Why don't we just put the second one there, and like we won't have a lot of priests to send at the cults, but we'll still try to score some points off of it. 8-pointers are good. So at this point, we've got two of our towns done. We've all but locked in our connection. All we need is B5 and then either ship or tokens. So now that architects have put a bridge there on D3, I'm thinking that what I really want now, they have this, right? All that I can really do now is score off of past tiles and maybe go for a third town. And maybe fight the cults. Like, maybe. So, keeping that in mind, like, we want scoring, we want economy. The best thing we can do is just pass on to this big building tile. So let's do it. And take a coins action, of course. The round goes on a fair amount longer. I might have been able to stay in the round and maybe just build B5 or something, but I'm not like too bummed out missing out on this stuff. I don't think that B5 was going to get me any economy, and I didn't really see it that much under threat, so I just kind of let it float. Okay. Also, Eric doesn't build D3, so that's a bit sad for me. He winds up switching his bridge over to A7 instead, and it might not be obvious why he does this, but it does wind up becoming pretty cool. We'll see what architects do a little later. It's pretty creative. By the way, I'm declining this leech. It overflows me. I also just don't know that I need that much anymore. I'm gonna have like a comment on it later, I think. So I put the cult spade on B2. So why B2? This is not actually my town here because B3 is already part of my town here. But I put it on B2 because, well, I mean, part of it is I just don't have any shipping, right? I don't have any shipping, so in order to get to C1, I would need 2 ship. Well, B2 shortens that by 1 shipping, so that's what we're going to do. That's why we turned this hex. Anyway, I'm about to take a coins action and just start going along. I'm focused here on connecting and on getting my third town. So there's me building B5, and here I'm templing. And like I said, I'm thinking about a third town. So because I didn't build D3, I'm thinking that C1 would be an expensive trading post. I'm looking at these 4 hexes, by the way. C1 through E1. So if when I get onto C1, I'm out of TPs and I have to put a TP on like B3 or something, and also like I'm out of dwellings right now because I was focused on securing my connection, maybe I can just, maybe I need another TP somewhere else as well. So therefore, maybe I can only fit 2 TPs into this town, which means that Fire 2 is actually what I would like. So I do wind up taking Fire 2. The other thing about Fire 2 that's nice is it comes with 2 power. It's on a competitive cult, and it gets me an extra worker. So in the end, I take Fire 2 over Air 1. Essentially, like, I just keep choosing small things that might benefit my economy. I do decline that leech as well. Again, I just don't know how many more points I'm going to score with the extra resources when I have so much stuff. And I've already built so much stuff as well. Again, I built B5. That might have been overly paranoid, and I think that might have been like one of the things that convinced me to take Fire 2 because I'm out of dwellings, so I need to make like extra TPs early, which is a little unfortunate, but hey, that's life. So yeah, like basically I was a little paranoid, and it's okay. Like, we just don't want any surprises. I am going to build some TPs a little early here. I just want to get onto C1 and start stuff, like, get my stuff good. All right, so here, this is just me noting that the priest spots filled up fast. Like, I took 2 cult towns, but I didn't wind up like getting any of my priests onto cults, and it's pretty sad because I needed to use my priest to advance my shipping. Like, I could have taken the last water priest, and that would have been pretty great. Get myself 2 power, take this last spot, get like a lead on water that no one can easily overcome. But instead, I need to use it on shipping, so it's pretty sad. This is not ideal. this was all a result, of course, of like my beginning the game by just taking double spades and building lots of dwellings instead of getting my priest production up. That's totally my own fault, and I'm not that sad about like how this worked out for me. So it's okay. Okay, so we do wind up getting this neighbor on D3. So we actually like after this, now it's clear that I could have made this town without fire too, even with like a with a cheap TP. However, you know what? I didn't know that D3 was going to get built, so I don't regret things too much. So the other thing to notice is that I'm actually really short on structures. I want 3 more dwellings, but I only have 2 more TP, so I am going to be building another temple this game. So yeah, like this is just a little awkward in terms of like the whole fire 2 thing, but it's all good. One more thing to note here is that I build this TP outside of the TP round. That's not just for economy. It's because if you look at the past tile situation, I'm actually in a sort of stall war here. Now, either of us can pass for this guy at any time and be fairly happy, but the thing is, I don't need any shipping to connect this game. Like, I already have 1 shipping. If I just put 3 power tokens here, I don't need any more shipping to connect my structures. So instead of paying for shipping, I would like to use my priest on cults or like whatever, maybe advanced digging. Which means that I'm really interested in this tile. Meanwhile, Eirik hasn't built a ton of structures, and Eirik has no shipping. So Eirik also doesn't want this tile. So we actually are in kind of a mini stall war here. And Eirik managed to extend a little by taking water too. However, I'm going to win the stall move because I have like my stronghold action. I can take like this. I can build like I wind up winning that little war. So I think that that's actually pretty key. I do wind up putting my stronghold action here. I only drop 1 token because I only need 2 more this game. I win this little stall battle and yeah, all good. And I get the dwelling tile, which I preferred. And this round's going to go pretty well for me. Now, I'm not sure about exactly what the correct thing to do this round is. And part of that is because there's just like, there's cult races, right? If I take water 3, maybe I can jam my way all the way up to the top. If I take earth 3, I can go up there. So like, which favor tile should I take, right? And then, is there any pressure on the town early? There's only 2 really high VP towns. The 7-pointer is a little bit worse, especially because I don't know what I'm using my workers for. Engineers can take a town very quickly. Architects, by the way, I mentioned that this was phenomenal trickery by the architects. Look at this. They're like, they left D3 before, but they're about to get a town up through here. That is so clever, I think. I did not see that coming. And I think that this is really, really neat what Eirik managed to pull off here. Anyway, yeah, like it's not clear at this point that I'm winning either. So I kind of defer by doing nothing. I just rush the town instead. Because like I do the things that I know I'm going to do, right? I know I'm going to build D2. I also down convert, which might be a mistake. Instead of like those 2 tokens could have been used for workers, that could be used for temples and TPs, extra temples and TPs. They could also be used to like hate dig H8, because if you look, engineers are about to tie my network as well. But in the end, I made some inaccuracies and such as life. So I do just wind up taking air 1. Like I figured that like it's not worth it to fight architects when they have water 2 step and this priest in hand on the water track. Prospectors also want another temple. They could be taking water 2 or water 3 and beating me up there. So air 1 is just 4 points. Like I'll just take the 4 points. I just continue to build out my town and like not commit anything despite everything else. And honestly, I don't know if I have any more notes for the rest of this game. I continue to like do the math over and over and try to figure out cult battles, who is beating who. In the end, all I do is I just like, yeah, I mean, here I mentioned like I could have been sneaky with my resources and gotten myself 3 more points by digging H8, but I didn't see that coming. If I had just converted to workers instead of converting them into coins for no really good reason other than taking leech, which didn't come. But it's okay, because it winds up being that despite everyone doing all their stuff, I am going to have enough points to win this. So I believe that the rest of the game is just rolling through now. Maybe it's not. We'll just play it to the end of the game. Okay, here we go. It's playing. So all I wind up doing with my priest is I advance my digs with it, and my next one, like after a bunch of micro math, is going to the fire cult. I spend a lot of time doing that, but like I had already won the game at this point, apparently. Like I didn't realize it, but I had, and this is like I think that most of the more interesting strategic notes happened earlier in the game, which was my decision to avoid shipping by coming up through here, my decision to take all those spades, the fact that I got all that stuff, like those were kind of more reasons why I won than like any of the decisions that I made late in the game. The other fact is that maybe like my opponents probably made mistakes, but beyond my opponents just making mistakes, like one of their biggest mistakes might have just been underestimating the children of the Wyrm. Recall that like I wanted to bid them down 16 or 14 points relative to architects. Instead, I got them for equal points to architects, who I thought were the worst faction. I also got lucky breaks in like engineers like giving me those double spades, as well as prospectors and engineers fighting over like the pass tiles early. I also managed to get some like really timely passes onto this big building tile. So yeah, like a lot of stuff went right for us here, and that's all part of why we won. We're about to score 10 points or 12 points on the cults with fairly minimal effort. We sent a priest here, and then we just relied heavily on our 2 towns with cults on them. We got this 11-point town, which was nice. And we do tie for network with engineers. Like that's part of the reason why engineers are still good. They can just still build so much stuff if they invest in economy. Which admittedly, I mean, B-Ball Race did. It's just I might have preferred a double spade route early in the game as opposed to what he wound up doing. Hard to say though. Like, despite all the issues that engineers face, especially like losing this F4 hex, like they still wound up coming out pretty dang well. But yeah, like I was saying, I was willing to pay 14 points for Children of the Wyrm instead of Architects, but Architects managed to find some cool stuff, and they also got a decent break in Engineers not taking this C5 hex. But yeah, if I had bid Children of the Wyrm down 14, I would have lost this game. So, the other stuff to like just think about for this game, I guess we can look at like the breakdown of it. We only got 1 coins power action, but we got 2 double spades, and we converted a lot of power into coins. Yeah, we got 25 coins from conversions. It was a good leech game. I think that you just want that happening if you're Children of the Wyrm. I also had Fire 1, which helped me supplement things. And in the end, like, I did have some of the most coins in this game. Though it was like a pretty good economy game. Everyone played really well to build their economies this game. We had the most workers by like a fair margin because of our dwelling rush early, so that was pretty cool. And down here, like, we didn't do like that exceptionally well on any given field, other than maybe the bonus tiles. Like, but there were lots of bonus tiles in the game. Our economy is kind of partially what enabled us to be able to pass for those at the right times. It's not like I fought anyone other than for the very last one to get onto like a really good pass tile. We got 3 towns, you know, that was good. 5 of them, or 1 of them in the town round. We did well in the end game scoring. We did the best of anyone here. So the other thing is that we only paid 8 victory points to gaining power, and we gained 45 power via structures. We only had to pay 8 points for it. Compared to engineers, who got more power than us via structures, like they got a lot of leech. They got 50 points of leech, but they paid 17 more points than we did to earn that leech. So it's like that's like they got everything that they wanted done essentially, but they had to pay so much for it that in order to like put it in different spots, that's kind of like an inherent scoring of Children of the Wyrm. Like secretly, they secretly have like a 10-point boost in terms of how much they're paying for leech compared to other players. Anyway, I didn't play a perfect game. I think that my opponents made mistakes. They underestimated me. I made mistakes, and I think that in the end, Children of the Wyrm are just strong enough to like overcome those things as long as like, and even if you take like lines that you don't think are like necessarily the ideal ones, like for example, like not getting a priest production was a little sus, but you know, towning early might have been like not great. Taking the TP tile might not have been great. Sending that priest to Earth was like, obviously I didn't get punished for it, but like maybe Earth 1 was better than Water 1, and I should have just gotten more cult points instead. Maybe I should have fought cults in the final round. It doesn't really matter. Like in the end, like kind of the message that I want people to take from this is that Children of the Wyrm were just strong, and I think that this game shows a lot of the reasons why. So this was kind of a different video. You know, I was just talking through my decision instead of streaming an actual game. Let me know what you guys think. We'll see y'all next time.